What's up, guys? And as I promised, this is Raziel, and I'm bringing all I know and all we know, essentially, from the live letter about the Blue Mage. So let's just run right into it and bust this bitch out.
I am Raziel.
Alright guys, let's go ahead and get into the Blue Mage section of the live letter. If you missed the first section of the live letter, it was a bit of a long video, a little over 20 minutes, because there was a lot of information to go over, and I wanted to, give my opinions on what was coming at the same time. But if you haven't seen that, you can go watch that. It's on my channel already, and the link to that video will be in the description below. But this is the second half, which is all about the Blue Mage. So I'm going to spitball through this as quickly as I can and get the information out there. So the Blue Mage is going to be the first limited job. We finally did figure out what that means. It means there's no base class. It starts at level 1. There's a level cap of 50 on release, and it's going to be raised in the future. It's going to have quests added on during patches and on release, new job quests specific to only the Blue Mage. And it uses ranged magic and DPS gear and the roll action of DPS. Something else that is very interesting though about this is the limited job means it is probably not going to be something that is used as a viable meta end game class. So let's go into the next slide here. So as you can see, the Blue Mage, the unlock requirements is you have to have at least a level 50 somewhere on your account, and all the 2.0 storyline, so Realm Reborn storyline quests completed. You do not need any expansions to unlock this job, so if you only have the base game, I don't know why you're playing the game if you only have the base game, but you can unlock it. You don't need to own Stormblood, you don't need to own Heaven's Word, and you won't need to own Shadowbringers to access this job. So as I mentioned earlier, this job is going to be designed for solo play, and it's a limited job, so it's not suited for parties. It's kind of a fun side job to have. It's not a fully fledged, meta end game job, which I'm still kind of hesitant how I feel about that. It's something that no other MMO has done. An entire class that's not really designed for end game and is kind of just a fun side job to have. Blue Mages can learn abilities while in parties, however, though. You can still do parties and party content, you just have to have a pre-made party. You can't join via the party finder, you can't join, you can't just queue for something. And Blue Mages are the only class that's going to be able to access the Masked Carnival, which is an instance specific to the Blue Mage. Additionally, since your abilities are dependent on learning abilities, you don't get new abilities just for leveling up. You can only, again, like I just said earlier, you can only do parties if it's pre-made group. Duties you don't have access to, I'm going over this again, I just said it, but any duty requiring matchmaking, any roulette, any PvP content, and deep dungeon you won't be able to access. Blue Mages won't be able to do that, because it's kind of not necessary. The reason why is because experience gains, as will be I'm sure in the next slide, experience gains will be drastically increased for killing monsters and doing things in the open world. So everything you can do to level up, you will get dramatically larger amounts of experience so that you can level up quickly. And we see all that information right here in this slide that they presented. As you can see, the way to level up is very, very specific to Blue Mage, that you don't need to do the standard classic style of leveling up for the Blue Mage. Again, this is a job that's been designed as kind of a fun solo player job to do. So you can go into old instances after you learn, for example, like level 5 death, and go into an old instance and just fucking slam Garuda with it. Stuff like that. It's just meant to be a lot of fun, and it's not completely impossible that this job is something that'll never see meta, but it most likely won't for a very long time. But it's opened the door, Square said, to make additional jobs like this, limited jobs that are just side jobs for solo play or other very specific types of play that are just fun to do, especially if you're going back and doing older content. Once you do reach level 50, you will have access to the Masked Carnival, a Blue Mage specific instance. You'll be able to take on these rounds of enemies. There are 3 monster waves per round, per stage, or 3 rounds per stage, excuse me, and there's 25 stages total. Now, where the challenge comes in is you will need to have learned certain abilities from certain enemies to beat some of the challenges. So if you hit a wall, you have to go out and search for that enemy you need to learn an ability from in order to beat the next challenge. I think this is kind of cool. This is a really cool way to do something. Again, I wish, and I get why it's not going to be meta, because a lot of these monster abilities you obtain would be completely fucking overpowered if you were meta. You're in the latest Savage Raid and you drop in level 5 deaths on the boss. That would be a huge problem. In doing bad breath, like for the Morburl's bad breath, and giving every status ailment to the boss, that would be a huge issue. And if they made it so you just couldn't do that, then your class would be kind of useless, because most of your abilities wouldn't work on bosses that are current endgame content. So it makes sense to me. But it's kind of akin to a Brawler's Guild in World of Warcraft is kind of how I looked at it, to where you can do these big challenges and get through things all solo, and there's probably going to be achievements linked to it as well. So getting a little deeper into how you actually learn abilities as a Blue Mage, you can go around, and if you defeat enemies after seeing them perform certain techniques, you have a chance to learn them. You don't have to get hit by the ability to learn it. So that's really cool. In the past, in other Blue Mages, you actually had to get hit. If you're just in combat with an enemy and he does the ability, you have a chance to learn it. The chance is all RNG, but that chance increases dramatically if, for example, you're trying to learn something from Ifrit or Garuda. If you are fighting them in extreme mode, it's much more likely that you will learn the ability when they do it than if you're in normal mode, which is much easier to do. Which isn't that big of a deal, because most players at this point, some of those older bosses, even on extreme mode, is very soloable. But again, you can make a party and go in if you can't solo it. So yeah, it's really cool, and you can learn these abilities. So these abilities consume MP when they're used. Upon release, there will be 49 total abilities you can learn. However, you can only slot 24 at a time. So it's completely up to you. And if you go into your Blue Mage's spell book, you can actually get hints of where these monsters are that learn the abilities. But Square said they want it to be something that's very community oriented, so it's not going to just straight out tell you where to go. And you'll want to be involved with your community and talk to them to learn where players learn certain abilities, where the monsters are, where they can learn those abilities. So very, very, very interesting overall. The Blue Mage is something that Square's never done before, that no MMO has ever done before, where they add a class that's not, hey, just like all the other classes, get to end game and do a rotation and do all that. It's meant to be a fun solo thing that you do, to get achievements and beat challenges, and maybe someday you'll be able to enter endgame content with it, but it's not looking like that right now. So anyway, guys, what did you think of the Blue Mage? It was really quick and dirty. I wanted to get this out there. What do you think about what we know about the Blue Mage? Think this is good for the game, bad for the game, neutral for the game? I overall think that it's kind of fun. It's kind of a fun thing you can do, because now it's clear that this isn't a job that is new in terms of the expansion, and it's all we're getting. As I said in my other video, I think all the jobs are going to get changes, and when we become Warriors of Darkness, I think that's what he means by all the new jobs, where our jobs are going to morph into something more specific and more extreme. But anyway, guys, what did you think about the Blue Mage? What did you think about the FanFest in Las Vegas this weekend? Are you looking forward to the one in Paris in February? I certainly am. I'm really fucking stoked to see what other information we get. Don't forget, the next live letter also comes out in December. I will cover that as well. And you'll see my Twitter and Twitch up in the corner. Follow me on social media and Twitch, for live streaming. And if you guys like my content, please subscribe, share it. Hit the alert button, and if you don't like my content, well, fuck off. I don't care. So anyway, guys, this has been Raziel. As always, keep it real, and I'll have more content for you really soon.